Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?
You can stuff your stories in a sack, mister. Because we watched Season 9, Episode 8, The Betrayal. So, Katie.
Hello, Derek.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So what did you think of The Betrayal?
Great.
I'd been waiting for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I must have seen it more than when it aired in like syndication or whatever, but I don't feel like it was like, I don't feel like people talk about this episode a lot.
I've never heard of this.
Did you know that there was a backwards chronological episode?
No.
I feel like it should be talked about more.
Well, here we are. I love this conceit. I love a format switch. I love a bottle episode.
Yeah.
Like, mix it up.
It got to the end, and I wanted more.
Look, I barely finished the page because I was like, I don't know how much more there is.
Yeah.
And lately, I've been sort of looking at my watch like, when is this over? And this one, I was like, I have no idea where this is going to go. It was fun.
Did you know that this episode has the reputation of being bad?
For what reasons?
So especially when it aired, it was like, this is like gimmicky and too weird.
Oh, come on.
Whatever.
I mean, okay. We're Community fans. Like, we're on board for a gimmicky episode.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this was before like Meta was a thing.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
Not the Facebook company, but the concept of.
But is this meta or is it just?
I mean, it's not, but I mean, I feel like it's meta adjacent.
Okay.
So The Betrayal was written by Peter Melman and Dave Mendel. Peter Melman at this point had actually officially left the Seinfeld writing staff. You might remember him from such episodes as The Yada Yada, The Chinese Woman, The Smelly Car, The Showerhead, as well as a few other ones. He will come back and consult on one more episode, but he had this idea for an episode in reverse chronological order because there was a play written by Henry Pinter called The Betrayal.
Oh, okay.
And the play takes place in reverse chronological order, and it is about like somebody sleeping with a woman, and that woman's new boyfriend feels betrayed, and so he was like inspired by that.
I like it even more now.
So Peter was working in the same building as Dave Mendel, and he came to him and was like, "Here's my idea for an episode." They wrote it proper chronologically.
Forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like cut it up and worked backwards and like fit in more like chronological jokes to make it more special.
Look, you might be surprised, but Kramer with that lollipop made me laugh.
You had a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
It did remind me of Troy with the giant cookie in Community
my stomach
finale
hurts.
season 2. Yeah. How can this thing that's good be bad for me? It was directed by Andy Ackerman. It aired on November 20th, 1997. Vulture.com ranked it as the 63rd best episode.
Disagree.
Because it's too low?
Yeah.
Screen Crush ranked it as the 116th best episode, citing, it's, reverse, it's known as the backwards episode. It's a gimmick. But the image of George's painted black Timberlands is funny.
Okay.
IMDb, I think it'd probably even be higher than this, but IMDb ranks as the 12th best episode.
Okay.
And like, I think it's probably in the right neighborhood. You could convince me it's in the top 10. I think this might be a top 10 Seinfeld episode.
Is it, is it hindsight and now we're more used to interesting devices like this in television? Like, but I guess Screen Crush and Vulture are also writing these reviews now or like in the near past, not in the 90s. What?
Well, like Seinfeld's dead.
Okay.
Not the man, but yeah, the television series. Breaking news, Jerry Seinfeld choked on a peanut.
Drop dead.
Yeah. So personally, I don't know why, but I didn't watch this episode the night that it aired.
Okay.
And the next day at school,
I'm sure people were talking about it.
A friend of mine, Derek, described literally every scene in detail from start to finish.
Finish to start?
Finish to start, yeah.
So did you like this episode?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a top 10.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We can throw it back to last week where I can't remember what I said about it. I didn't want it to leak. I didn't want you to find out that there was a backwards episode. I don't know if you saw, but I was secretly recording you when we turned the episode on to see if you said like, what is going on? Because I did look over at you when the like closing credits started. Were you confused? What was your reaction?
So I was confused because sometimes if I'm doing a correction, I'll go back and I'll watch like a part of an episode. So I thought that it was playing the end of the last one.
Right.
And then it was something that I didn't recognize. So then I was very confused. When did I write backwards? So the first thing I wrote was, so are you going to sleep with me or not? Mm-hmm. And then I wrote backwards? ?
Sure.
I was very confused when it started. I want to see the footage and I'll probably delete the footage of me.
I was audio recording it because I thought we'd use it for the podcast.
Oh, so I didn't say anything. I just had a...
Yeah. There was a post on Reddit that I saw, and it was somebody complaining. They were like, my Netflix is broken. This episode keeps starting at the end, and I can't get it to fit.
Well, I'll read the synopsis now. Elaine, George, and Jerry go to India for Sue Ellen Mischke's wedding. Kramer's friend FDR makes an ominous birthday wish. One thing I didn't like is how many times Kramer said FDR in this episode. I always feel like it's a sign of poor writing when people use each other's names too much. As if we won't remember who they're talking about or to, and it's not how people talk to each other, Derek.
Well, Katie, I have the opposite complaint, and I am often frustrated, Katie, when I'm listening to podcasts and they'll be talking about something, and I'm usually doing something else when I'm listening to a podcast, and they'll be, oh, he says this or he did this, and I'm like, wait, who are they talking about? And then I have to like skip back to like figure it out, and I'm like, oh, them, and then
You actually skip back, or you just...
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
I mean, maybe it's just age or perimenopause, but if I'm confused in something, I don't care. I just continue on. Like this episode, I didn't stop it and say, hey, it's playing backwards. Hey, what's going on here?
We lost that hilarious moment.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't care. But you can stuff your sorries in a sack. So we don't actually see Elaine telling George about the bathrooms, but we do know that George has not used the bathroom in 3 days. Right?
Yeah.
So Elaine goes to Pinter's parents' house.
Yeah, do you want to do the guest stars?
Sure.
Okay. So we had a few recurring guest stars. We had Brenda Strong playing Sue Ellen Mischke, and Heidi Swedberg returned playing Susan. This would be the last appearance of Susan on Seinfeld. I don't know if you noticed, but actually Heidi Swedberg, for a different role, had cut her hair short. So she was wearing a wig. So new guest stars, we had Michael McShane, who played Franklin Delano Romanowski, FDR. He was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Office Space, and Brotherly Love. But a lot of his credits are actually voiceover work that he does for cartoons. So he's a voice in Clerks and Spawn and A Bug's Life.
Was he also in Blank Check, or not Blank Check, Richie Rich?
I don't know.
I think he was in Richie Rich.
Okay. Justine Maselli played Nina. She was on NYPD Blue, Dangerous Beauty, and As the World Turns. And then Sean Taube played Pinter Ranawat / Peter Ranawat. He was in Tehran, The Kite Runner, Crash, Homeland.
Which Crash?
The movie Crash?
There's 2.
I'm sure there's more than that.
There's a good one and a bad one.
He's in the one where he played somebody named Farhad.
Okay.
The Crash is like isn't the Crash the one where it's like all the bunch of stories come together?
Crash.
The Crash. Like there's 4 different storylines and they all come together. There's like the drug storyline and the immigration storyline and the cop storyline.
I think there's 2 of those and there's a good one and a bad one.
Oh. I think Crash was the movie that I watched when I was in Thailand, and it didn't automatically come on. No, it didn't automatically come on with subtitles. And I was like, oh, what an interesting artistic choice for this movie to not have subtitles when they're speaking foreign languages. And you have to kind of just like get like context cues from how the actors are acting. They have to act really well so you know exactly what's going on.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
I watched the entire movie like that. And I talked to my roommate afterwards, and he was like, oh, I just went into the settings and turned on the closed captioning. And I was like, oh. Brad Pitt's in Crash, isn't he?
I think we need a detour.
An IMDb detour. Anyways, so Sean Taube, I don't know what his ethnicity is, but he has a lot of Middle Eastern-y roles that he has been typecast into. And I went through, and if you want just a list of
his names,
generic Middle Eastern names: Faraz, Rahim, Farhad, Mustafa.
Classic.
More.
I just watched Amy Poehler interview Mike Schur, and I loved that in any show that Mike Schur works on, nobody's named like woman number 2. Oh, everybody has a name because he's like, you come in, you've auditioned, you've driven across town, you've spent hours, getting this job. You come in early for a call time, you get into makeup and wardrobe, and then in the credits, you're like man with hat. So everybody's got a name, and they're often very funny names because apparently for productions, you can't name somebody something that someone else is already called. I said that weirdly, but you either have to choose a really common name like John Smith or a really obscure name that no one else has. And so like the newscaster in Parks and Rec is named Purd. Right. Like, so they just had fun coming up with like wild names for people, and they may have never been said in the show, but you can find yourself in the credits. Like I can't think of anything funny. I was going to say Happa Blap. Like,
sure.
There was one name, say like Cynthia Shermer or whatever. And production or like the network came back. They're like, nah, there's somebody named that. You can't call it that. So they're like, all right, her name is Cynthia Shermer. Like it just gets sillier.
Add a random syllable in there.
Yeah.
I think college football players are doing the same thing.
Oh man. And what did you send me? Women's baseball, like college women's baseball.
It was like the final tournament of women's college baseball.
6 Rileys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kaylee, Riley, Ryden, Caden.
I did think there was a lot of like really good one-liners in this episode too. And I'll often like write down a line and like star it to, consider it for what I'm going to say to open the episode. Mm-hmm. I felt like Stuff Your Stories in a Sack is somewhat iconic. I
thought it was great when Jerry and George are arguing about, you slept with Nina, I get to sleep with Elaine. And Jerry said, that doesn't punish me. It punishes Elaine, and cruelly.
Yeah.
Also, when FDR sits down with the cooler and Kramer says, you want my kidney?
Great line. He schnapped me.
So, okay. I wrote down at some point, why is Jerry getting Elaine drunk? That was earlier on in like, later on we see. But why is he getting her drunk at that point?
Because he wants to know why George is acting weird, and she knows.
Okay. Well, can he just assume that she told? Because has it come out that George knows that Jerry slept with Nina yet at that point?
Not to Jerry.
Okay.
So there is if you have the DVDs for season 9, you can watch this episode in chronological order.
I was going to ask if it is a good episode forwards.
There were fan edits before that had it like cut properly, and then they like canonized a cut.
So it ends with them coming back from India after 3 days, which is insane.
They did say the flight took 23 hours.
With a stop in Sarajevo.
Yeah. So you're 26 hours of flight for 72 hours of India.
And then back. So I'm trying to think, like, does the ending or the beginning, does it wrap it up? Is it a good end of the episode? You know what I mean? Like them coming to the cafe. Elaine's nose is bandaged.
It probably
George
would.
is telling her that she has to sleep with him.
I think, I don't know for sure, but I feel like if you watched this, if this episode had just like come out chronologically, we probably would have been like, how was this end? Like they forgot to write an ending here. Like
maybe
all of the payoff is in not knowing what is going on and it's slowly unfurling itself. We were recently talking. I had recommended the show Poker Face to friends of ours.
Yeah, great show.
I think it's a great show. I do think that it is like, you know how every episode is going to end. She's going to use her power to tell who's lying. You know who did the murder already. And it's like, how does she unroll it for them to get caught? And recommended it to friends. And they're like, oh yeah, it's good. But like every episode, you know that it's going to end with her using her like lying power. And I'm like, that's what's fantastic about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you knew, because you know that all of this is going to get wrapped up and like the slate's going to get wiped clean for the next episode.
Yes. I get what you mean. And it was funny.
It probably wouldn't pay off, is my point.
It was funny at the end of the episode or further back in time how we got to see Susan again.
Yeah.
And then 11 years earlier when Jerry moved into the apartment.
Yeah.
Like, I like that they went there just for that joke of what sets up Kramer, what's mine is yours. They didn't have to, but I like that they went there.
It also explains the Kessler name. So in the Seinfeld Chronicles, the pilot, they referred to Kramer as Kessler. And
oh, I saw your name on the mailbox. You must be Kessler.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's Kramer.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Here I am with a bunch of my idiot friends.
So I don't know if you saw in the second scene. So the first scene is them walking into the diner and they're all kind of like mad at each other. Second scene is like back in India and an elephant walks across the scene.
Yes.
Walks across the shot. Andy Ackerman jokingly asked for an elephant, being like,
where's my elephant?
Being like, we're the biggest show on TV. I can ask for whatever I want. I'm going to ask for an elephant. And they were like, oh yeah, sure. You want an elephant? Here you go. We'll give you an elephant.
So do you think this was an invitation?
I don't know. I mean, I think it needs to be an invitation for the story to work. Like, I don't think it really matters whether or not it's an actual, like, in that universe, whether it's an invitation. Probably. I mean, they had this kind of antagonistic relationship. Like, what would be interesting is like, what are the logistics of this wedding that is happening? Like, what is like, the last time we saw Sue Ellen, she wasn't dating Pintar. She like, so to plan a wedding in India, I imagine takes a bit of time. Do you remember
our landlord inviting us to his wedding?
Yeah.
Where we went to, I guess, move out. I can't remember why we went to meet him in person.
We went to argue for paying less rent.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't even like he was charging us. He was like, oh, you're going to start paying more rent. It was like, we would like to pay less rent. And he was like, no, I'd rather move into the apartment myself.
No. We bought a house and we were moving out.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll settle this another time with a correction by me. But we were at his house, I guess, or his family's house or something. We met him in town.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were moving out. And he goes, okay, well, I'm going to move in. Also, I'm getting married. And he like reached into a big sack and gave us a beautiful envelope. He's like, do you want to come to my wedding?
Yeah.
So I don't think this isn't a honky wedding. This is like
no, this is
a bunch of
it's
people
going to be
come.
like 3 days of party and whatever. Yeah.
And he was Indian, so it was an Indian wedding.
Mhm.
So it was like, yeah, come or don't, right? Like we didn't send a gift, we didn't go. Yeah. I kind of wish we'd gone. It was a beautiful invitation.
It was. I mean, I think that might have been the second time I'd ever talked to him.
Yeah.
When we were asking him for a decrease in rent for.
I don't remember doing that.
I do. You were very much convinced that we could get a decrease in rent.
What was I thinking?
I don't know.
Oh. Well, I've clearly removed it from my mind.
Black Timberlands.
So Newman's, I wanted to mention Newman's wish girl, I'll call her.
Sure.
She could not have been more from the 90s.
Oh my God, yes. The hair,
the blonde pixie
clothes.
cut, lime green tank top. Yeah.
I think this is maybe one of Wayne Knight's best performances as Newman.
Yeah.
I think he's like involved. He's funny. He's like the conniving, like
he has good facial expressions, good dialogue.
But yeah, I really liked the all registered mail is certified, but all certified mail is not necessarily registered.
You have that backwards. It's
did I?
All certified mail is registered. Not all registered mail is certified.
I'll tell you a little secret about zip codes.
They're meaningless. But I want to go back to the invitation because we've had a few where you know that you're B list or maybe even C list.
Didn't we think we were uninvitated to a wedding and we were going to decline? And then they're like, oh, no, we want to be the flower girl.
Yes, that happened. But the same year, I think we were invited to a wedding that I'm pretty sure we were there to fill a seat. But we went, and it was a lot of fun. And I don't know if they expected us to, but there we were.
Which wedding? Oh, yeah. I think they weren't shy about us being
second tier.
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, we had some people canceled, and like we knew we didn't we weren't really close to you, but like we had an opening, we thought we'd invite you.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, cool, yeah, sure, okay. I mean, yes, that based off how our relationship is, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Happy to be here. Thank you very much.
I definitely got a few invites from high school friends who I hadn't spoken to in years.
Yeah,
and there was even one from a high school friend, and I considered going, but it was in Cleveland. And I was like, okay, it's like a 9-hour drive from where we are. And I just thought, you know what? This is a no.
I'll send a gift.
I'll send a gift. I don't even think I sent a gift. I just said no.
You said no. Do you think that, I mean, I guess if it's an invitation, they're like, and you don't send a gift, they get upset. But if it's a real invitation and you don't send a gift and you just say no.
That's an interesting question. I've never sent a gift when I said no. So do you think...
You're so rude.
Well, look, listen, we're thankfully past this point in our lives, but there's a time when you get invited to a lot of weddings.
Yeah. I remember like talking to people about like, oh, we got to save money this year because we're going to so many weddings.
Yeah.
And like, you have to give a gift or money or whatever, like there was like, weekend after weekend after weekend where you're just like wedding.
At least, us and most of our friends got married in our 30s. Yeah. Can you imagine if you were in your 20s and you have very little money to begin with, and then people are like,
sure,
doing getaway weddings and stuff? That's crazy. But no, I've never sent a gift when I declined.
Is that the polite thing to do?
I don't know.
We should send an etiquette letter into that newspaper lady.
I did say yes to 2 weddings on the same day and didn't go to either.
You should have gone to one.
Extenuating circumstances, but I sent a gift to both.
Oh, that's fair.
But I should have declined both. That was in my people pleasing era. As we've learned, that's long gone.
I mean, we haven't really talked a lot about this episode, but
I think we have, though.
Oh, okay.
I liked when Kramer's standing outside the porta potty and Lomas is in there.
Lomas.
I wondered if we ever see Lomas, and we don't.
Never see Lomas.
So you have said a line from this episode many times over the 15 years, 16 years I've known you.
I know exactly which line you're talking about.
And now I finally understand you.
Clams Casino. Chef recommends.
Every time we go to a restaurant.
I didn't know that you didn't know
this
where it came from.
Nope. I also laughed every time George says, these Timberlands give me 2 inches, 5'8", 5'7".
I was eye to eye. I can't go down to eye to chin. I'm going to wear them in every situation, no matter how ridiculous I look.
Nina's a smart woman. She tells Jerry about the World Wide Web. You can email anyone.
What are you, some kind of scientist?
What is email? That confused me because canonically in this world, they've been on the internet.
Yeah, but this was earlier. You looked down and it was like 2 years earlier. And then you looked up and you're like, what time is this? So you were confused.
Was that the scene with George and Susan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What did you scribble down?
Oh, Memento.
Yeah.
I mean, you're familiar with Memento.
Yes.
Wait,
are you saying Memento?
Memento.
Okay, good.
I went to Memento in theater.
I think I did too.
And somebody was like, oh, let's go to the movies. There's this movie I want to see, Memento. And I didn't know that it was backwards. I didn't know anything about it. Like literally had not seen a preview, 100% blind. And for a long time, I said Memento was my favorite movie.
Yeah. It's pretty mind-blowing at the time.
Pretty mind-blowing. The inability to like know what was going on and like foreshadowing, but like twists like around every corner that you couldn't like, there was no way for you to like see them coming. I used to really, really hate like when there's like an obvious twist in a movie. I
Sixth Sense.
I will fight anyone who says that The Sixth Sense is a good movie. It is f***ing terrible. I've never wanted to walk out of a movie more in my entire life. And everybody talking about how, oh my God, the twist. I'm like, literally, all they talked about in this movie was like, there's a kid that can see dead people, and M. Night Shyamalan always has twists in his movie. And somebody gets shot within the first 30 seconds, and then nobody talks to him for the entire movie. It is a movie that bad, dumb people think is smart. Oh my God.
I knew it would set you off. That was good. I like it. I'm joking. I wanted to see your face.
Oh my God. He gets shot and I'm like, oh, so that's what happens in this movie. And then all that happens is that unfolds. And I'm like, anybody who doesn't see this coming is a and then literally the person that I saw the movie with at the end when near the end when he finally figures out that he's dead, they know from him and they're like, oh my God, what a twist. And I looked at them with such derision that I felt bad.
Who was it? Oh no!
You can beep that out. I don't think M. Night Shyamalan is a billion times overrated. All of his movies are bad.
I've heard good things about, what was that one with, I'm so bad with names, Josh Hartnett? What was the recent one?
They literally did How Did This Get Made episode about
and
how
they
bad
loved it.
Yeah, but they were like, this is a bad movie that we love. I asked you to watch that because I was like, oh, like this sounds like it's at least, it's bad, but it's worthwhile to watch. Like it's a.
I don't watch Six Scans. I
don't watch those Six Scans movies.
I don't watch sad or scary things, except true crime.
And medical operations. And
we talked about this last time, okay?
People that have disgusting bodies, which all have an element of scary and fear and like a sad story. So I think you do watch sad, scary things.
Maybe I just don't like dramatized, sad, scary things because they're not gross and sad enough.
The world is scary enough.
Yeah. That's all I had. It's a good episode.
Jagdish.
Good night, Jagdish.
I was going to ask you if you knew about the eyelash thing. So when they were playing with their eyelashes to blow on them, you heard this trend that men are trimming their eyelashes so that they
look less feminine.
Less feminine.
Come on. I thought you were going to ask me if I knew that people do wishes on their eyelashes, and I'm like, yeah. Do you throw them away or do you eat them?
I do neither. I did. So I did my research before we watched the episode, and it talked about how they wrote it in chronological order, and then they added a whole bunch of like gags. And I think obviously I saw those gags when they happened, but like I really appreciated them this time. So like Elaine walking by being like, "Hey, what time is it?" And he's like, "You just asked me 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, what time is it?" The like opening of the drawer, be like, "Drawer's full of Fruit Loops
and milk.
And then just Kramer just spilling everything everywhere when you heard Jerry and Nina.
A lollipop, the huge head-sized lollipop. For a guy who seems so crotchety, FDR has a lot of friends at his party.
It does. He only wants Kramer to drop dead.
When's the last time you went to an adult birthday party in their home with cake and candles?
6 or 7 years ago. I think.
I can't remember a time, but that's not really how I think we celebrate birthdays anymore. I mean, we're older than the Seinfeld cast are supposed to be at this time.
Jesus.
So I have some corrections.
Unless you want to talk about the like veiled racism and maybe slightly transphobic line in this episode.
There was I guess it was the 90s, but there was racism in here. There was transphobia. It didn't feel great to watch.
We watched an episode of The Simpsons earlier today, and it was an Apu heavy episode. And the entire time that I was watching it, I was thinking about how there's a white man.
Yes,
voicing.
Me too.
It felt very weird.
And I'm not excusing like, whitewashing voices and stuff. But this episode of The Simpsons was particularly bad because there was a lot of like, let's say, cultural performance that is like inauthentic and then doubly inauthentic. And you're just like, why did you all do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
It was the 90s. All right. I have some corrections.
Okay.
Last week, I asked about Marsha Cross. I couldn't remember what meme I had seen her from. Yeah, she was a guest star. And I'd asked if she'd been bald. And this wasn't what I was thinking of, but she had cancer and lost all her hair.
Oh.
But she's fine now.
Good for her.
Well, okay. That's all. Next week, we have the apology. What's it about?
What's the apology about?
I'm asking you what the apology is about. You've seen this show.
Oh, if I remember correctly, George's friend is going through...
I don't know what this hand motion means.
The 7 steps of AA. And he has to
12?
The 12 steps of AA. I've never gone to rehab.
It's famously 12.
It's all like veiled religious-y stuff. I don't pay attention to that Christian nonsense.
Okay, go on.
And he feels as though the apology... There's one of the steps is apologizing. And he feels as though the apology that he gets is insufficient.
Oh, I can't wait.
I think this might be the naked episode too.
I can't wait. Well, bye.
Bye-bye.